Hello, guys. Um, this topic is per se not that much important for the exam, but there is a chance. I mean, it can come in a 10 marker or maybe 15 marker at most. But the major advantage lies in the fact that this might become useful for you to you can quote it here and there. I mean, in the perspectives. For example, if somebody asks you criticize Weberian perspective or criticize Marxian perspective, then the thinker which will be quoted here today, or the theory which is being propounded by postmodernism, this can be of use there. So now let us start. So here, if you see that postmodernism is an intellectual movement. Now, it is an intellectual movement. So it became popular in 1980s. Now you see, uh, Marxist. First, you see that Auguste Comte was there. That sociologist thought the origination of sociological thought. It started from positivism. Then it came down to functionalism, Emile Durkheim. Then it came down to Max Weber, and then it came down to further 1950s when again conflict perspective became important. So these 1980s time period, you see that there was decline of communism or the socialism per se, and conflict theories were like being criticized during this moment. And then this intellectual movement came into being. So this is how you connect it. Okay. Now, at that point of time, there were certain social changes which were occurring. Now, you say that after World War, there is a time where industrial development, modernity was on the peak, and it grew exponentially. And when it came to 1980s, like you remember the 1990s economic reforms in India, but in the Western world, this was a period where already a lot of development all had already taken place. I mean, you can compare the 2020 cities with those of 1980s in Europe. So in developing world, it was a little late, but in the Western world, it was early. So during that point of time, post-modernity was a new intellectual thought. Okay, so what they claim, what is the basic premise of postmodernists? Now the basic premise is classic sociological thinkers took their inspiration from the idea that history has a shape, it goes somewhere and is progressive. Now see, when you read about the theory of Marx, it will become clear to you that he has envisaged six stages. I mean, four stages are from the early history to the present, and then two are futuristic, in which sixth is like almost everybody is equal. So you can have a look at it. Future advanced communism, it is called. So it is a kind of, they view history as if history is revealing the discipline. I mean, with time, the discipline is being enhanced. But when you look at the postmodernists like Jean-Francois Lyotard, he argues that this idea now has collapsed, and there are no overall meta narratives, or you can say that the conception of history or society that are interconnected and make some sense. There is nothing like that. Okay, so there is no destiny. I mean, I already gave you an example of Marx and told you that he hoped that advanced communism state when everything is equal and harmonious and workers have rights. And with this, the Marxism came to the conclusion with the thought that okay, the better future for the workers, for the capitalists, like there is no class structure, and abolition of class structure itself, it is based on that. Now Jean Francois Lyotard, he agrees to the fact that see, modern world is has arrived at such a stage or at such a developmental pace that you can see it not as a simple thing. It is a doubly complex. I mean, it is a very much complex. It is so much complex that you cannot predict modern age based upon the historical references. So, and what about these were his views about how history and societies are connected. But then we see that how he views scientific research. He says that scientific research is no longer done purely to uncover knowledge, to make the world a better place. Like you just can refer to the Enlightenment phase, when it was envisaged that the ideological thought process which came during that time, it had a common element of thinking about social benefit, social movement, or any, or making a world a place which was in the hopes of the people. Okay, so uh-huh. But eventually, in the Marxist phase, it became the world for the people who had the money to afford it. Like this thought was for the people who could afford it. Now, this could explain why we have nuclear weapons. Now, he will say that neglected. There is a concept called neglected tropical diseases, right? So, in neglected tropical diseases, disease is there, but it affects the minuscule population or the population which is not, which does not matter for the developing world. Okay, so you can just like see and obviously why I didn't point out the nuclear weapons, because this is a sad fact ki, we have no cure for neglected tropical diseases, but do have nuclear weapons, and it takes only 1/20th of the value which is used to invest in nuclear weapons. If we invest that much value into the neglected diseases, then these will be overcame. So this is an infograph. uh, you can just read through it. It will give uh, a brief idea about the point I just showed you. If you want, I can just recite it. It is, in the discourse of today's financial backers of research, the only credible goal is power. Scientists, technicians, and instruments are purchased not to find truth but to augment power. So he is giving a prominent place to power. Now, out of the power, for everything is being done in the today's world to gain that power. Now, if you would have seen my the lectures of political sociology, then it would have become clear to you what is power. But still, I'll just give you a brief idea. Power is when you impose your will upon the others, and in spite of the fact that others may resist it. It is a Max Weber notion. So it is a kind of individual as well as group power. But let us go ahead. Moreover, it seems that the pursuit of scientific knowledge, and especially its application, has in some ways made the world a riskier, more dangerous place. Now, again, he is referring that the pursuit of scientific knowledge should have been for the benefit of the society, but it has gone to such a place that where it has garnered the power for the wealthier, for the world, but it has made it, in fact, a riskier and dangerous place. Now, democracy obviously has developed around the world. We can see that a lot of countries, even the earlier communist countries, are democratic now. But in many developed political system, voters are apathetic and political reviled. Now, you see that Economic Intelligence Unit gave a reference to the flawed democracy, failed democracy models. So here you can see that those by referring to those terms, these are just saying that. Uh, that democracy as an experiment has not been successful, and it has impacted different countries in a different way. So now after going through Lyotard, we'll go to Jean Baudrillard. So this is the just the brief time period for this is just the time period within which he lived. So here he says that he gives more importance to the media. Okay, so he says that the post modern age is a world where people respond to media. Now, a an important role or emphasis is being given to the media rather than to the real images. He says that media is being important. Yeah, this is true also. You can see that everything which is being done. There was a meme where I saw that there were two people who were asking for money, and there was a camera, and people were going to that place where the camera was there so that they can appear to the world that they are generous. So this is another episode. You can read it if you want. So yeah, just see it. Okay, so here the Princess Diana and her death. So you can just take the example. So you can quote him like Jean Baudrillard and mass media. So whenever there is some question about mass media and its power, you can quote it. So then his third thing is, first we have read about Jean Francois Lyotard. So here he saw that whatever it is there, it is just to augment the power of the people. And then we go through the Jean Baudrillard, where it is like emphasizing upon the power of the media. And now Zygmunt Bauman. So he now these are just the two ways of thinking, right? The one is about the media and other is about the dissociating its history from the discipline and postmodern era. Now Zygmunt Bauman offers a helpful discussion between two ways of thinking about postmodern. Now the basic question is, do we need a sociology of postmodernity or postmodern sociology? So the first view accepts that the social world has moved rapidly in postmodern direction. The enormous growth and spread of mass media, new information technologies, the more fluid movement of people across the world, and development of multicultural societies, all of these mean that we no longer live in the modern world. So the point is, there are certain pointers here, which is like mass media, new information technologies, then migration of the people, movement of the people across the world. Now these features are being associated to the fact that we no longer live in a modern world. Like these are the specific features which are a dividing line between the modern and postmodern world. Okay. However, on this view, there is no compelling reason to think that sociology cannot describe, understand, and explain the emerging postmodern world. Okay, point accepted. The second view now, first view, no compelling reason to think that sociology cannot describe. Now there is no reason that why sociology cannot describe. It means that sociology can describe this world. Okay. The second view suggests that the type of sociology which successfully analyzed the modern world of capitalism, industrialization, and no longer capable of dealing with it. Now, first viewpoint is that sociology can analyze postmodern world, but the second viewpoint is that sociology cannot. Again, I am emphasizing, sociology is not capable of dealing with the postmodern world. So, in fact, we need a new kind of sociology. So that is referred to as a postmodern sociology for a postmodern world. So Bauman accepts that the modern project originating in European Enlightenment of rationality shaping society no longer makes sense. That the process which began with the Enlightenment phase is no longer making any sense, at least not in the way, at least not in the way thought possible. Now he's just referring to the earlier thought process of sociology, like the one propounded by Comte, Marx, or other classical theorists. But he says that since the turn of the century, he increasingly moved away from the term postmodern, where he says that he has which he says has become corrupted by too much diverse usage. Now, postmodern has become corrupted by too much diverse usage and now describes our age as one of liquid modernity. So again, it is reinforcing the fact that it has become a world of liquid modernity. So reflecting the fact that it is in constant flux and uncertainty in spite of all order and stability in the world. So the main aim of various sociologists like Emile Durkheim was to say that was to contend that they need to the world should be safer, stable, and functional place. But in this, it is referring to the liquid modernity. I mean, you no matter you do what, there will always be a state of flux and uncertainty. And whenever you try to impose any order or stability, this will be the condition of the world. Many sociologists reject the thesis that we are entering a postmodern age altogether, and one staunch critic of postmodern theory is Habermas. So Habermas' book is very popular. Please note this fact. Now he sees modernity as an incomplete project. He sees modernity as an incomplete project. Instead of consigning modernity to dustbin of history, we should be extending it, pushing for more democracy, more freedom. Habermas. So in effect, Habermas is more on the fragment of social change. I mean, a positive social change. He argues that post as a pessimist and defeatist. See, now I just explained you how postmodern, like wedging line between. Now see, if I start from the beginning, you will get some idea that okay, 1980s this movement started. Then they just like wanted to dissociate it from history. Now this person, Francois Lyotard, argued that this idea has now collapsed. Obviously, he wanted to take the earlier sociology to the new stage, and he says that he wanted to dissociate the history and society. And again, he criticized the viewpoint of Marx, or these can be added to your Marxian theories analysis. Okay. Similarly, he just drew upon the criticism of scientific research and the means for it. And then we saw the power of mass media in the writings of Jean Boytard. Then Sigmund Freud, yeah, Sigmund Bauman, he just like Sigmund Freud. I just confused it with Sigmund Bauman, but still you please note it down. Sigmund Bauman offered a helpful distinction between two ways of thinking. So the thing is, can sociology of past act as a barometer for postmodern era, or should the postmodern era will be a kind of separate entity? So this is it. The first view accepted. Then we went to fluid liquid modernity, Bauman's concept, and then we are here to the Jugan Habermas, who says that it is an incomplete project, and he's more kind of the one vouching for the emancipation, or you can say that social reform. Okay, but essentially he rejected postmodernists as a pessimist and defeatist. Whichever way you think more possible, it is the case. Always postmodern always analysis have lost ground to the theory of globalization. So here it is like how globalization has changed the thinking. So you can just have a look at this diagram which I made it for you. So what key things distinguish the now after going through my lecture you would be able to answer it. What key things distinguish the postmodern world? Media is central to our lives. Now who said it? Jean, no, you can see it again. Jean Baudrillard. So Jean Baudrillard said media is central to our lives. Globalization is a norm. Consumption of consumer goods. Theories like meta have lost their power. We just saw it. This is a kind of revisional diagram. The nature of work. We should recognize the celebrate diversity of views. Now in media there are a number of views, but not all of them are. So it is a kind of saying ki it wants people to consider those views and take them into their cognizance. Social class is no longer a major source of identity due to economical changes. Now about the enlightenment, they say the enlightenment project on achieving progress through self scientific knowledge is dead, because you see that scientific knowledge has given us no cure for cancer, but it has given nuclear weapons. Okay, so again this infograph, confusion, lack of structure, incessant choice, you create what you want to be. So this is what I have added, but you can just see it. Modern age has lost, just we saw it. Globalization has narrowed time and space. Obviously social class is not important, and it is the economically so much interconnected world. Consumerism is everything. Impact on of ICT and social life is there. Then culture and structures are fragmented, are less predictable. Then pluralism in life, people less likely to follow rigid ideology, fragmentation of social life. So in a way that it is saying ki earlier social life was a major element. Okay, so now social life is on decline, and more emphasis is being laid upon the consumerist and the postmodern things which we are looking at. So with when during an exam you can just quote these thinkers. For example, if you want to the relation between history and sociology, you will just say Jean-Francois Lyotard is against it. So he wants to dealing history from society, social sciences, and then you can also add his viewpoint in power. Ki that he is against. He is saying that whatever is being done for power. And then you can go to Zygmunt Bauman. Then you can Jean Baudrillard, who says that the power of mass media. So mass media is kind of, people don't have actual, you don't need to know a person personally to know him. Mass media is for this purpose, and moreover it also sees the power of mass media, so you can add it there. Then Zygmunt Bauman. Now whenever a question comes like do we need a postmodern sociology or sociology of postmodern, so you will just draw a midline. So here I have presented both facts, so you draw up a midline. Then we come to Habermas. Now Habermas is in fact against this postmodern. He says that these are pessimist and defeatist. He in fact vouches more, is more on the social reform side. So you can add this. And then we went to the these things which draw a line between what is postmodern and all. And then we just saw the features, and this is how we close.